Hey everyone, it's Rob Ryder, and today's Sunday, March 15th, 2020. Wanted public adjusters to do the will of the Lord for a fee, for your fee, because a worker is worth his hire, and there's lots of work for public adjusters. You won't have to look for work anymore, it'll come looking for you. And therefore, for those who aren't public adjusters, I'll show you where you can become one. If you want to do a little bit of work on your own, become a public adjuster, well, then you can do the things I'm about to explain, because what public adjusters need to be doing with their time is filing strict liability tort claims for clients who have suffered injury to their civil rights and liberties, which happens every day, everywhere, every hour. It's nonstop. Everything that they do, when I say they, if you're a public adjuster, they that claim to be the government. Because the truth of the matter is they're not a de jure government, they're de facto, they don't have any authority. And so they can't enforce the laws of the United States because they don't have any authority under the Constitution. And I'm going to show you where the evidence is and so forth and so on. And, well, hey, these entities have general liability insurance, professional liability insurance, God knows how many different kinds of insurances. Well, that's your expertise, so you're going to go find out for me. But I know under casualty insurance, which covers liability insurance, right? It's all kinds of liability insurance. It talks about this thing here called political risk insurance. Right? What's political risk insurance? Oh, political violence, such as a revolution, insurrection, civil unrest, terrorism, or war. Government expropriation or confiscation of assets, governmental frustration or repudiation of contracts. That's all governmental, not government, but governmental, acting like the government. Wrongful calling of letters of credit, business interruptions, and inconvertibly a foreign currency. Well, we're going through all that shit right now. That's exactly what this, you could say all that stuff has something to do with the virus, or just life in general in the United States. And see, that's my expertise, right? I don't know shit about insurance. I just found out about you people myself here the last couple of weeks, and I'm trying to put it all together in my head what to use you for. But I'm going to use you like a tool. All you need to do is agree. So, what are we talking about here? Well, here's some examples. First of all, if you want to email me, right, so my email address, quarterrecord@aol.com, and my avatar is Rob Ryder. Phone number 616-712-6179. Now, public adjusters, right? That's what they're called, public adjusters. Hey, who'd have known? You got people called public adjusters. Legal malpractice, false arrest, libel, slander, malicious prosecution, trespass, foreclosures, taxes, civil and criminal proceedings, chemtrails, biowarfare, terrorism by and out of control de facto government. Those are the kinds of things we can put claims against. And please note, the United States of America is not the United States. Quit blaming the United States. The United States hasn't got a damn thing to do with this. The United States has been overrun by the United States of America, which is a dominion of King George III and his successors. It's in the frickin' Treaty of Peace, 1783. Please go read the first paragraph. Right? United States of America. That's British. King George. That's America. Americans. Right? It's not citizens of the United States, lowercase c, citizens of the United States, like in the 14th Amendment. No, these are United States of America, a dominion of King George III and his successors under the Church of England, by whatever frickin' name it wants to call itself today, because it says in the Charter it ain't never given up its property. In the Magna Carta, right, the dominions of the church shall never be diminished. So technically, see, when that was written, that was the Catholic Church. Well, then King Henry took over and he said, no, now it's mine. I'll do what you were doing, and now all that's mine. And the Bishop of Rome has no jurisdiction in the realms of England, and that would be the United States of America. So you can't blame the Pope, and you can't blame the United States. You need to blame the United States of America, and you need to blame the British monarchy. I guess you really can't blame them, right? Because we're not complaining to them. Now, here's the rest of the story. We're not complaining properly. That's what we're doing now. We need to complain better. Because they have us going to a court of justice, which is a Talmudic law court. You're never going to get any justice there. You're not, you're not a Talmudic Jew. Now, whether it's actually Talmudic Jews or not, I'm just saying that's the system they're using, right? This is as old as the Bible, and nothing's changed. Those are black-robed priests. They don't have an oath of office. They're just pretending to be the government, and yet you go there and have them decide your case for you. Well, up until now, we haven't known better, and I'm just saying, I think now, knowing better is to go to the public adjuster. Okay, so that's why we're here. Now, what else can I tell you? Local, state, federal actors have not complied with the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States or federal law requirements and do not have any authority in the United States. Simply, they don't have any authority to tell you to do anything. And if they do, it's a frickin' tort. And under this defacto system, you don't have to prove fault. It's all strict liability. You just have to claim it. And if there was an occurrence, well, then there's a payment per occurrence on insurance. So, hey, I know the insurance people would know that, but, for the rest of us, it may be a little bit new. So, the client's evidence is in the public record, and the insured's intentional tort is a strict liability claim. It's really that simple. Everything that happened to anybody is part of the public record because the ones that did it to you are pretending to be the government. Well, there's the evidence. And so we'll be looking at some of this different evidence, right, that shows that it's a strict liability tort claim just because it was done wrong. Don't have to prove that it was done wrong on purpose or purposely. Because in the fiction, you can't have any intention. Everything is a thing. There aren't any persons. There is no morality. All right? It's just nothing but things bumping into each other. Well, which thing did it? Even though it was an accident, it's still a tort claim. If you file it right. And so what they have us doing is, in my understanding in insurance, is if you file a lawsuit, the insurance company is going to defend it. I don't want them to defend it. I want them to pay the claim. And to do that, then you file a claim instead. And I believe you do it using these public adjusters. They do it for you. Okay, so give me just a second to put a few things in order, and we'll continue on. All right, let me point out a few things that, public adjusters will understand immediately. I'm sure this is your area of expertise, but this is part of the policy of the state of Michigan, right? And it's the CG 00010413. And I know that's some kind of special form number, and that form number means that don't change a word on this document, just leave it just the way it is, right? It's been certified. And it says in here that there's personal and advertising injury, which means an injury, including consequential bodily injury, arising out of one or more of the following offenses: false arrest, detention or imprisonment, malicious prosecution, the wrongful eviction, can you say foreclosure, wrongful entry, breaking down somebody's door, invasion of right of private occupancy of a room, dwelling, premises that the person occupies, yada, 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 or a written publication in any manner of material that slanders or libels a person or organization, such as putting in a newspaper that there's been a foreclosure or going to be a foreclosure, or putting in there that you were arrested over the weekend for DWI or whatever they put in, because by strict liability, they don't have the authority to do these things. Or a written publication in any manner, material that violates a person's right of privacy. Mugshots, right? The weekend blotter report. All that shit they put in the newspaper. See, that's the idea. These are all intentional torts. They've done it. It's there. There's the evidence. Go claim it. If you don't claim it, well, that's your fault. But we've always tried to take it to court, and what we're supposed to be doing is taking it to the insurance. And for somebody like me, I say, well, how do you find their insurance? I'm not really, don't really know. But what I did find out is if you FOIA the state or the county, they'll send you a copy. But how do I get an attorney firms? Because in a foreclosure, I'm going to show you, you got some attorney who's just pretending he's simulating a legal process, right? It's not legal. It's just simulation of legal process under color of law, which is a civil rights violation, right? It's a freaking criminal offense in the United States, 18 U.S.C. 241 and 242. And they do it all the time. Everything they do is a simulation of legal process because they never use your legal name. And yada, yada, yada. So you can see these things that make up this idea of, what a personal and advertising injury means. Okay, so then then they're going to have, to show you this is state of Michigan. Yeah, that's where it came from, state of Michigan. Right, if you have a claim, put it in here, which I have done. I showed this in my last video. But what I found out since doing the video, I said, well, they're not doing nothing with this. I've been, told the truth, but given a lie. I'll explain in a second. There must be something else I need to do. And Rosita, bless her heart, sent me this little video on how to file a claim. And it was an attorney talking about it to a client, one of these scenarios, saying, well, before you contact the adjuster, we need to do this, this, and this. Right? So he's talking like somebody who's already filed or already signed papers with an attorney to be represented and then what they're going to do to file their claim, his claim. Well, by doing that, you just made a lawsuit. I don't want to do that. So you don't want to take it to an attorney. You want to take it to an adjuster. I didn't know that before, but I learned that, that one of the first steps is, well, take your claim to the adjuster. Because under a claim from the state or the county or whatever, you are an additional insured. They have that insurance in case they harm you. So claim to be the additional insured. And file a statement of claim. Right? So I was doing all these things. And I got terrorism risk insurance, which is really, really good. So what does that mean? It means an act that is certified by the Secretary of Treasury in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security and the Attorney General of the United States. Why come the President isn't involved? To be an act of terrorism. To be a violent act or an act that is dangerous to human life, property, infrastructure, to have resulted in damage within the United States or outside the United States, and in case of certain air carriers or vessels or the premises of the United States, missions, and to have committed by an individual or individuals as part of an effort to coerce. Finally get to the good stuff. Why was all that done? Well, to coerce the civilian population of the United States or to influence the policy or affect the conduct of the United States government by coercion. That is what is happening now. Nancy Pelosi is not the government of the United States. The government of the United States. She's the United States of America. House of Representatives, United States of America. She's representing King George's successors corporation in the union between United States of America and the United States of America, the entity that was created under the Articles of Confederation. Those are the two things in union under the Constitution of the United States, those two different states together in one, with 50 federal states overlaid with 50 King George states, United States of America states. State of Michigan, like United States of America and State of Michigan go together, where United States and Michigan go together. So County of Kent and Kent County aren't the same jurisdiction, although they're same territory. They're different jurisdictions in that territory. So, hey, I know I get off track a little bit, but there's just so much to tell you people that, if you were to look at all the videos I've done, these are the things I talk about all the time. And I'm really what I want to do is find a freaking remedy with it and quit talking about it. So I filed a claim. And one of the places I sent it to was this brokerage. That was last Friday or a week ago Friday. And within an hour, I got a call from some lady there that I had emailed it to. And she was kind of evasive in her answers, but she didn't want to call it, now that I think about it now, she didn't want to call it a statement of claim, but that's what it talked about filing. And she said, well, have you already sent it to this other place, that this Mount Holly, that had the email address? Yeah, I found an email address on the, told her I found an email address on the policy, and I sent it there. So since I didn't hear anything, Monday and Tuesday, I start looking closer, and I said, let me go look this place up. I hadn't really done it yet. Go look it up on the state's website for insurance companies, and on the state's website for corporations, and it doesn't exist. Right, there's names close to that have that AM Winds in it, but not that particular name, not that address. It just doesn't seem to exist. Here's state of Michigan, right, name of the insured, care of this right here, DTMB. So is it the DTMB that actually has the insurance, and the state of Michigan is just an additional insured on insurance? I don't know how that works. Organization. Right, what's his business description? State government buildings. They don't even claim to be the government. They're taking care of the buildings. It's a janitor's business. Right, it's property management. But this is the big thing. Look, this insurance has been placed with an insurer that is not licensed by the state of Michigan. Well, then it can't do insurance. It can't do business here. In case of insolvency, payment or claims may not be guaranteed. So what that means is either the state of Michigan is a foreign corporation and brought its insurance from someplace else, or, this place can't insure this, and the broker, that would have been their job because this is a broker, is responsible for faulty insurance, because the broker is the one that recommends the policy to the insured. So it's so there's one kind, and here's one from the county in Michigan also. So if you're in Michigan, this is the way it works, and if you're not, well, it'll work something like this. In Michigan, all of these local governments are under some kind of risk management authority, one which is the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, where it says the County of Montcalm. It gives it a member number. It talks about this Mid-Michigan Management Authority. MMRMA is a separate legal and administrative entity as permitted by Michigan laws. Well, as I found out with these people, well, no, you're not, because they're not listed either in the state being able to do business. Right? They never registered. They may have talked about doing it at one time, but it never happened. And so they can't be dabbling in the insurance business in Michigan. Although they go on to make quite clear that this risk management authority is not a insurance agent. Well, if they're not an insurance agent, then why is it they're sending my claim to them? Because my claim is supposed to go to the insurance agency or whoever it is that provided the insurance. So this is a diversion to have you send your paperwork here to somebody that's going to look at it and say, no, you don't have a claim, and then not say anymore. And that's what they were trying to do, is say I didn't have a claim. And so on both of these, then what I did this week is I filed a complaint with the state insurance agency, and we'll see if they pay any attention to it. Because what else can you do? You can either do nothing or bitch. So I just assumed complain a bit, and so I did, and well, there you go. So for instance, right, just because it's an intentional tort, the per occurrence self-insured retention value is $75,000. So the insurance, who's ever handling this for them for the claim, isn't going to affect the insurance company whatsoever for the first $75,000. That's coming out of the county's policy. The self-insured. They're deductible, basically. So, as long as if you got stopped and got a traffic ticket and had to, file a piece of paper to get $75,000, would that be enough? Or, do you want more? Because they have $1 million or $2 million in coverage. I don't know the exact amount, but it's up there, And the other, they have $5 million. See, they got plenty of room to play. There's plenty of room to make money here, right? All you need is somebody to put the paperwork in that understands what they're doing. Terrorism has a $5 million separate policy. So it could be quite lucrative, and, God's happy to pay for a worker to earn his pay. So, give me a call and I'll put you to work. Right? MMRMA has a right and duty to defend any lawsuit seeking money damages. Well, then don't file a lawsuit. MMRMA may, at its discretion, investigate any occurrence and settle any claim or lawsuit that may result from subject to coverage. So the one case you're going to have a lawsuit, they're going to defend it. And the other one, they could just investigate and settle the claim. And all we're talking about is reaching the level of strict liability. It sounds simple enough to me. What did this one say about? They had one in here about terrorism too. Look at it. Here, limited liability coverage for terrorism. Definition. Now remember, understand, this is, the county has this, right? In case they commit an act of terrorism on somebody. That's what it's for. Not that they're going to be terrorized, but in case they were to commit an act of terrorism on someone else. For the purposes of this section, terrorism shall mean an act, including but not limited to the use of force or violence, and or threat thereof, of any person or groups of persons, whether acting alone or on behalf of or in conjunction with any organizations or governments, committed for political, religious, ideological, or similar purposes, including the intention to influence any government and or to put the public or any section of the public in fear. They just had to put you, they put you in fear. That's all you need to say. I fear my government. Well, that's terrorism. Now go settle. And then I went on to, is this the one that had? I talked about biological. For the purpose of this section, an act of bioterrorism, nuclear terrorism, or chemical terrorism, and designated to release germs that cause epidemical diseases, shall mean an act including but not limited to the use of force or violence and or threat thereof involving or resulting in a release of biological, chemical weapons or nuclear materials or germs by any person or groups of persons, whether acting alone or on behalf or in connection with any organization, government, apparently committed for political, religious, ideological purposes, including intention to influence any government and or da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, well, there's chemtrails all the time in the air over the United States, and the United States has a place to file claims, and they have a procedure to do it. So can we file a terrorism claim with the United States? Because the United States is self-insured, just like the county is, and the state is. Or whatever the case is. I'm just saying, hey, we got chemtrails. That needs to stop. Now we got this virus that's just going over, and they want to act like they're going to shut down the whole country over a fucking flu bug. That was apparently genetically made because it's number 19. So there's 18 other strains at least running around somewhere. I thought for the longest time the only way to make this stuff stop, right, was to have them arrested. So for the last few years, I've been trying to figure out how to have an arrest warrant issued or whatever without any luck because they ain't going to do it. But I can see now the other way is to take their money because, their money is their God. Well, maybe Satan's their God, but money is their way that they worship their God by having it all sit in these accounts. And so like the military retirement fund has over $1 trillion in it that right now should be in the hands of veterans. But because there's errors in the records and things don't get done properly and so forth, well, instead it's being diverted to this account. And that account's being managed by some management company that's taking like $100 billion a year in fees. So, it's a claim against the United States, but how do you get it settled? You can't take it to court. They won't do anything with it. So public adjusters, there's all sorts of work for you if you just figure out how to file claims. one thing about filing a claim against the United States is they'll pay your insurance. If you win, right, if the claimer is the winner, then the government will pay the claimer's attorney fees. Go figure. So reasonable attorney fees. So if you're trying to get like your, something that's owed you, and you're not going to give 10% of that to somebody else. That's what's owed you. That's the thing about this stuff is the damages and so forth you're getting aren't for the value of the thing that's you're claiming or that you're damaged by. Just the fact that you're damaged is what these claims are for. Strict liability, right? They committed a tort, $75,000. Pay the claim. Okay, so I guess what I wanted to do is I want to take a few minutes and show you some public adjusters, show you some of the documents that people get on a daily basis, and show you the things that are wrong, and why it's a big deal. Because this ain't pie in the sky. This is here to be had, and I don't want to have to go learn how to do it to get a remedy. I just didn't have my remedy now, and then take the time to go learn how to do it to help other people. But I have my own things to take care of. So here's one of the things in the Administrative Guide to the State Government, right? The executive branch departments and subunits shall obtain all insurance or insurance-related services in conformance with procedures established by this Department of Technology Management Budget. So it sounds to me like, it isn't the state of Michigan that has insurance. It's each of these branches that have insurance, right? The Michigan Department of Treasury has an insurance policy, or something like that. I have a case against the Michigan Department of Treasury, and I want to see their insurance policy. So, okay, hey, hang on just a second. Hey, but let me take a minute and catch up those that aren't public adjusters, right? Let's just talk about them just for a second. So a public adjuster, as you can see, I'm just reading from Wikipedia. You can go read this whole thing later. A public adjuster is a professional claims handler, claims adjuster who advocates for the policyholder. That's why you want to be an additional insured in appraising and negotiating a claimant's insurance claim. Aside from attorneys and broker of record, state licensed public adjusters can legally represent the rights of an insured during insurance claim process. Outstanding. See, this is the attorney you're supposed to hire is a claims adjuster, not a lawyer. Right, because a lawyer is just a type of an attorney at law, right? But a public adjuster is your attorney too. He's going to represent you, or he's going to represent your claim. Their technical expertise and ability to interpret sometimes ambiguous insurance policies allow property owners to receive maximum amount of indemnification, for a third time, maximum amount of indemnification for their claims, right? They're going to get you everything you can get. And actually, I'll show you one of the in Michigan, they actually have a particular contract to sign, and, basically they're going to take a percentage, and they can't take more than 10%. We're talking about found money for the rest of us, so, pay the man his fee. If you want to make that kind of money, well, go get a adjuster's license and go do the same thing. So on and on and on. Licensing, yeah, so 44 states have it. I don't know if other ones do or not. This is how it all gets figured out, is by reading this stuff and going and taking a test. Just like doing it to become a notary. Instead, become a claims adjuster. The fees they can charge, and I don't want to read all this stuff. Anyways, that's who they are. And then strict liability in criminal and civil law. Strict liability is a standard of liability under which a person is legally responsible for the consequences flowing from the activity, even in the absence of fault or criminal intent on the part of the defendant. So it doesn't matter what they say that they didn't mean it or da-da-da. That doesn't matter. Strict liability. In the field of torts, prominent examples of strict liability may include product liability, abnormally dangerous activities, intrusion on another's land. That would be called trespass, right? Traditional criminal offenses that require no element of intent include statutory rape and felony murder. They're all torts. Tort, tort, tort. If they commit a tort, there's been damage done, there's been a loss, and that is what the insurance is for, not the thing that was damaged. Just for the loss. Check the box. Professional liability insurance. So this is, what attorneys would have. Errors and omissions insurance. Political insurance, right? Casualty insurance they talked about. What were the other ones under here? Casualty insurance. Surety insurance, earthquake insurance, political risk insurance, terrorism insurance, fidelity and surety bonds. All sorts of. One of the most common kind of casualty insurance today is automobile insurance. Most basic form, automobile insurance provides liability coverage. So a couple videos ago, I had shown where you could go online and you could buy general liability insurance as a housekeeper. And here in Michigan, to be $30 a month. And if you look at the definition of housekeeper, right, that's like the person that owns the house. It's, there's nothing wrong being a housekeeper. And so a guy did that. Well, since then, I had gone and read in the Michigan Vehicle Code where it talks about the only insurance you have to have is a certificate of motor vehicle liability insurance. And it says you need to give this certificate to the Secretary of State. And so his state says the same thing. I showed him my law. His says the same thing. So he's going to get a certificate. This is what you do with general liability insurance, is when you have it and you want to work for somebody, they may say, I need to have a copy or a certificate of insurance. And you have to get a hold of the insurance company, and they're going to send the insurance to whoever they're told to send it to, and da-da-da-da. The problem is, we're not smart enough to tell the place that just asked for one that we want theirs also. But, that was me in the past. I've given them out before, but I never asked for one. So, now that's how you get added to their insurance. So what he's going to do is in the block where you add an additional insured, it's going to do what it says to do in the law, which is put in the information of the vehicle and take it to the Secretary of State and see if they'll accept that as his automobile insurance or motor vehicle liability insurance, which is what the law asks for. It doesn't say you have to have automobile insurance, car insurance, truck insurance. It says motor vehicle liability insurance. Well, if I have general liability insurance, then it has to cover motor vehicle liability insurance because it's general. It covers everything. It's general. Okay. Let me go grab those other things now. Hang on. Okay, so if a tort is wrong, which it is, that's what torts are, they're wrongs, right? Then, if you break the law, it's wrong. So federal law, Title IV, United States Code, Section 101, oath by members of legislature and officers. Every member of a state legislature and every executive and judicial officer of a state shall, before he proceeds to execute the duties of his office, take an oath in the following form, to wit, I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Period. Can't do any more, can't have anything added to it. This is the one that the federal government wants you to do, and this is the one you shall do or you shall not have done it right. It would be a tort. And so after I, you have to have your name in the oath. Okay, well, here's the oath of the person who claims to be the governor of the state of Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer. Right? There's no name there. So this oath doesn't satisfy federal law. I don't care what she says. It doesn't matter. It doesn't comply with federal law. 4 United States Code, 4 U.S.C. Section 101, oath by members of legislature and officers. I think everybody should print it out and carry it around their pocket. Right? You ever get pulled over until you get it figured out, show it to the cops. Say, hey, man, you better read this. You got one of these? You got no says this right here? Because it doesn't matter who you are. If you want to claim authority under the United States, you must do what the United States says. Or they shall bring the army, which is the next step. So now that we know that, let's go look at, this would be 18. Oh, crimes and criminal procedures. So now this is a real wrong. This is criminal wrong. Title 18, 18 U.S.C. 912. Officer or employee of the United States, whoever falsely assumes or pretends to be an officer or employee acting under the authority of the United States or any department, agency, or officer thereof, and acts as such in any such pretended character, demands or obtains any money, paper, document, or thing, value shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years of both. Okay, well, anybody who's, again, if you are a state of the Union, then you're acting under the authority of the United States. So you're not a federal officer, you're a state officer under, the laws of the United States. But they're not because they didn't comply with this first. Okay, well, that would mean then that they're, what's the one I wanted to have? Where are you? Oh, here we go. So then, because of that, everything they do is a violation of 18 U.S.C. 241 and 242. Conspiracy against rights of citizens and deprivation of rights under color of law. If two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any citizen in free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution and laws of the United States, or because of having exercised the same, or if two or more persons go in disguise on the highways or in the premises of another with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise and enjoyment of any right or privilege so secured, well, that would be a crime. That's pretty clear. Right? That's 241. 242 is whoever, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any inhabitant of any state, territory, district to the deprivation of any right, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, penalties on account of such evidence, well, that would be a crime too. And every court case that they take people to is a simulation of a legal process under color of law. It's a violation of civil rights. I don't care if they meant it or not, it's a frickin' tort. Here's one specifically for Michigan in the penal code, right? Legal process, impersonation, false representation, or action as public officer or employee. A person shall not impersonate, falsely represent himself or herself as, or falsely act as a public officer or public employee, and prepare, issue, serve, execute, or otherwise act to further the operation of any legal process, unauthorized process, right? Something pretending to be legal that affects the purports to affect a person or property. Right? Everything they do is a simulation of a legal process, or it's just unauthorized. Period. So whenever somebody gets a love letter saying they owe some money, they should be, write back saying, I need to have your insurance information. Or better yet, just take it to your adjuster and say, hey, go get their information and file my claim. Looks like we have a payday coming up. Right? Legal process means a summons, complaint, pleading, writ, warrant, injunction, notice, subpoena, lien, order, or other document issued or entered by or on behalf of court, lawful tribunal, or lawfully filed with, recorded by a government agency. Well, I can tell you they don't do any of this right. That's why I'm showing you what the laws say first, so you can see what the law says, and now we'll go look at how they do it. But for the record, oh, one other thing, right? So this is supposed to be the oath of this person claiming to be the governor. Well, we already seen it's not the oath for 4 USC 101, so wrong, right? Tort. But even this one is wrong, because this is supposed to be the oath that's in the Constitution of the state of Michigan. And that oath says, I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state. Notice the small c of this state. So, the Constitution of the United States is the Constitution of the state, is what it's saying. They're not two separate constitutions. It's just the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state. The federal state, the district. When they made the states, when every state became a state at the same time, they made a federal district and called it, like here, it's called the District of Michigan. Right? Well, that's the federal state. Overlaid with this other one called State of Michigan, or it should have been the State of Michigan, but it's been corrupted. Now it's just called State of Michigan. Right? But the very first Constitution in Michigan, the thing they created was the State of Michigan. Known by the style of the State of Michigan. And after that, Constitution was never used again. So the groundwork is there, but they write the stuff right. They do, it's all there to be done right. They just never do it right. Again, if we look at her Constitution now, or her oath of office, well, this one says Constitution of the state. So these are two different constitutions. And actually, the Constitution of Michigan of 1963, the one we use now, that's federally unconstitutional. It says so in the footnotes. What is it? Local government, Section 7 in the footnotes. I think it's actually Article 7, Section 7. I think local government is Article 7. She didn't use her full legal name, right? Her middle name is Esther, and it's not on there. So, well, then she is concealing her identity. And the governor cannot swear an oath of office before a notary, right? It's in the state law, and I've done videos on this. Sorry, I don't have time to go find all the, detail down to the gnat's ass again, but I've done videos on it down to that level, and I can tell you that this is invalid to give her any authority to ever tell me to do anything, or any of the people that work for her. Right? State of Michigan has no authority over Robert Allen Rutluski. Now, in my case, I served 8 years in the military. Actually, I am still in the military. I served 8 years active duty in the military. But I never got a separation order. And according to my separation code, I was owed $13,000 in separation pay. I never got it. So I say I was never separated. And that's why, no enlisted veteran has ever been separated. No enlistee has ever been separated. They don't separate anybody. Right? Unless you have a separation order that says you've been released from the custody and control of the military, then you were still in the military. And most people in the military who get out there, DD-214, the document that everybody says, well, that says you're out of the military. It says they went into the reserves. It doesn't say they were out of the military, or it says they're on unpaid leave. Now, mine says I was discharged, but then it has up in Block 9, it has NA, which means that I could just as easily be discharged on disability retirement as having been separated. And because I never got separation pay or an order, then I say I was put on disability retirement in 1988, and that money is sitting in that frickin' military retirement fund. And every veteran has their own story about how their money is in there, but that's where it is. The veterans or the survivors or whoever it is in there because of errors in records by people who are pretending to be the government. Because this person isn't the frickin' governor of Michigan. She is an enemy of the United States, and she should be arrested and put in a FEMA camp. Or change her ways immediately. But she's got a lot of work to do. Right? So first of all, the military needs to take over. Martial law, which we already are. There's gold fringe flags, in case you didn't realize. There's gold fringe flags everywhere. That's an army flag. We've been under martial law since 1861. President Lincoln declared martial law and it's never been rescinded, never been a proclamation or a treaty of peace to end the hostilities. Right? Armistice. That's what the best we can get is an armistice. Okay. I got some other things to show you now. Some specific documents that go to court cases and so forth. So hang on here. I don't think that was the right one. Alrighty, so here's an example. This is a classic example. Will be the same for any kind of court case, right? We got a court case going on. This happens to be bankruptcy court. And they're going to put somebody's name here, say they're the debtor or they're the plaintiff or they're the whoever they are, right? This says, in this case, a plaintiff's United States trustee. Well, that really isn't true, right? If anybody was the plaintiff, it'd be the United States. They're the government, not the trustee. So, what is this about? But plaintiff Daniel M. McDermott, United States trustee. He's not the plaintiff, man. The plaintiff would be the United States. And this we were putting in pay for this back in the day. We were trying different things. But I don't have time to explain it all, so I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to go to the bottom and say, you see here that these attorneys are using the middle initial, right? Dean E. Rittenberg, trial attorney, office U.S. trustee, 25 Ottawa Northwest, Suite 200R, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, there is no attorney in Michigan that's been licensed to practice law named Dean E. Rittenberg. Right? They'd had to have used their full legal name. And the evidence of that is, so this is just a particular case. This would be a foreclosure case or criminal case or whatever it is. Any place you see an attorney's name. Right? Using the middle initial. Well, in the state, they have a thing called the roll of attorney. I don't know if it's called the same in every state. That's what they call it here. The Supreme Court of the State of Michigan. I, Larry S. Roaster, clerk of the Michigan Supreme Court and custodian of the roll of attorneys. Roll of attorneys admitted to practice law in this state do hereby certify that as appears from the records, Dean Edward Rittenberg was admitted to practice in the courts of the state of Michigan on May 27, 1986. Well, that isn't who's there. It's a guy called Dean E. Rittenberg. So, hey, that's a tort, right? You're hiding you're impersonating the person here, right, is impersonating an attorney. So this guy has to have errors and omissions policy, right? You can't tell me you can't make something out of that. Jeepers, you can't make something out of it, you're not trying hard enough. Right? Put the claim in and make him defend it. This is the other thing you need to pay attention to also, like the Supreme Court of the state of, uppercase state of Michigan. Then it says here, clerk of the Michigan Supreme Court. It didn't say state of Michigan Supreme Court. It said Michigan Supreme Court. And now it's in proper case. Right? So the government is Michigan. It's not state of Michigan. Now they can use state of Michigan when it's being used as two proper nouns connected by the word of, but not as the title of something. So Michigan is a proper S state also, but it's also a lowercase s state, federal, proper case S state as its own sovereign entity, a republic, I guess we should say, because it's a republic. And then state of Michigan is a corporation. And so if you go on Dun & Bradstreet and you can search on state of Michigan, it'll come up, it's listed as a business. But, it doesn't make it the government. The government is, in Michigan. Michigan Supreme Court. That's the government. Right? Michigan House of Representatives, not state of Michigan House of Representatives. Those kind of things. And it's, it's as old as the hill. That's what they do. Now here is a note for a mortgage where somebody made a promise to pay. And it would have all sorts of interesting things. But the reason I wanted to show this one is whenever they get to a foreclosure case and they get entered into the court case, they get entered this way with the endorsement on there where it says pay to the order of with a blank without recourse. Right? Greystone Residential Funding, already signed, right? So if you were to put your name in here and take it to the bank and say deposit it, they'd have to deposit it just like a check. And if they wouldn't do it, well, then file a claim against their property or against their insurance until they do it. Because that's what this is. It's a negotiable instrument. When the homeowner gave it to them, it was a private note. What the bank did is they endorsed it and turned it into a bank note, which is payable in legal tender, but it isn't legal tender yet until it's demanded. So now it operates as bank money in this fictional system we have where, all these trillions and trillions of dollars, it's all, fictional money. Well, this is where it comes from. They just turn this into bank money, but it's not legal tender. You can't spend this, right? In the real world, it's just ones and zeros in an account. But if you could get yours and put your name right here and take it to the bank and tell them to frickin' deposit it, they'd have to do it. And if they wouldn't do it, well, then file a claim and see if you can make them do it. Yeah. Now, you won't find this. I'm not saying it doesn't exist somewhere, but you find these when people are in foreclosure. It's part of the foreclosure package of paper. And if it isn't in there, tell them, well, ask for the note. Right, homeowner, and there's your evidence, and you should be able to collect on this. First of all, you've been damaged because you've been there, right? Now that is the thing that's going to get the public adjuster paid. It's just the fact that you've been damaged because they're simulating a legal process. But you're trying to get all your property back also, right? So you want the damages, and you want because damages are common law remedy, right? You get damages, money damages. But if you want to get the contract fixed or get, the record fixed or whatever, which is really the problem, then that's more like equitable relief, which, you can get also. Just say, look, I want the damages and I want this done. And if not, well, I'm going to hit you again. And, if you hit their insurance 3 times, that's what I've been told, they get dropped. So, fix the records or get dropped. Okay, so now this is somebody's warranty deed, and again, these are different in every state, but this is the thing that's usually recorded at the county that somebody would say, well, this is what proves I own my property, right? And a lot of places are called warranty deeds. Some places they're called security deeds, grant deeds. Could have all sorts of names, but the county recorder, county register of deeds, whatever the place is, it keeps your records, right, for your property. It would say in there, this warranty deed, someday, Mary Ann Dunn, single woman, with a post office address, right? It's not a residence address, which is what's supposed to be there, not a post office address, right? You don't live at the post office, right? It's supposed to be residence address. And then it says to Patrick D. Dunn, comma, a single man. Now, in both of these cases, these are legal fictions. This could almost be proper, I guess. I don't know, right? But Patrick D. Dunn is not this man's full legal name. And then when you say Patrick D. Dunn, comma, a single man, you created a legal fiction. It's not the man, so the man didn't get the deed in the first place. And now they're saying that his post office address is going to be this address here. Right? That's probably somebody's house address, right? But they're calling it a post office address. So the address that you use for your mail isn't your residence address. And yet when you go to fill out your paperwork to get a driver's license or a state ID, right, that's usually the address people use, the same one they would use for their mail. Well, then you just proved you don't have a residence, right? You have a post office address. That makes you homeless. And then it gives this legal description. This is the reason for doing all this, right? I wanted you to see how they have his name. This is what he believes he bought, right? Patrick D. Dunn believes he bought this property right here. Yet when they send him a tax bill, it comes for Dunn, comma, Patrick D. And it uses this legal description. Well, it's not the same, right? It's not the same name. It's not the same legal description. So you're paying tax on something that you didn't buy. You're being coerced into paying this tax on something you didn't buy. I think we just saw that stuff was covered under these political liability insurances and so forth, right? That, man, you just, they're charging you for something you didn't buy. So all your local taxes aren't yours. They're, this is just somebody's way to enslave you and take your property. The name on the taxes, and it doesn't matter if it's, this is property taxes, but even on, let's say, your IRS taxes, they usually send them to you in a middle initial name. You need to say, that isn't me. You don't have a middle initial name, right? You have a full legal name. And it needs to be used in all legal matters. And if it isn't used, they're not talking to you. And if they're taking money from you, well, that's a legal matter. So Patrick, or Dunn, Patrick D doesn't work. Now, I will tell you, this is the way that they like to identify you as a corporation when you said you're a corporation. Right? On Dun and Bradstreet, I show up as Rytlewski, Robert Allen, because I had gotten an IRS EIN as a sole proprietor in my name, Robert Allen Rytlewski. All right, well, they want to put it backwards so they know when they're talking to the man and to the person. So this is, like talking to a corporation, Patrick D. Dunn. Not the Patrick that bought the property even. So, but there you go. Because they're different. Well, they're different. They're wrong. Tort, tort, tort. I don't care if they meant it. It's a tort. Hey, here's a foreclosure case. Right? United States of America acting through rural housing. So now we have to stop here for a second. This is a civil case in Florida. And if the United States was suing, well, they'd be doing it in federal court. What the fuck would they be doing here in a state court? It doesn't make any sense. Now look at who the defendant is. Jacqueline V. Veazey, a.k.a. Jacqueline Victoria Veazey, a.k.a. Jacqueline Veazey, semicolon, and then it goes on to a whole bunch more other defendants. But they're saying this whole name here, up until this first semicolon, is, the name of a defendant. Well, obviously that's nobody's name, and where Jacqueline Victoria Veazey looks like it could be somebody's full legal name, her name doesn't have, this E isn't in there. Right? They intentionally messed up her name. Well, this is errors and omissions by an attorney on a verified complaint. Right? So he has liability insurance. It's an insurance claim. Go get a public adjuster and say, hey, I have a insurance claim against an attorney's insurance. Right here again. Where right there, Taylor and Cassidy. I'm afraid you can't use an initial in your name for legal matters. That would be in Title VI, Code of Federal Regulations, Part 37, the Real ID Act. Which, if you want to get an airplane today with your driver's license, you have to already have an ID that's Real ID compliant. It has a little gold star up in the upper right-hand corner. And it's going to have your full legal name on there. Robert Allen Rytlewski. Basically the name that's on your birth record. No initials, no nicknames, no nothing else. But what they do in the act is they define what the legal name is. And they say your legal name is your first name, middle name, last name, or surname, no initials, no nicknames. I'm afraid you can't use an initial in anything that's legal. It's a tort. It's a wrong. You're hiding your identity. You're impersonating an officer of the state because an attorney is licensed by the state. They're a state officer. Well, this person's impersonating being an officer. Oh, hang on just a second, please. Okie doke. So there you go. Right? All you need to do is look at the signature block on any legal document. Find where the attorney used the middle initial name, and there's your tort. You don't need to know anything else about it. It's a tort. Now, getting whatever's fixed that they were trying to do to you, that's a different story. But I'm saying the tort is the fact that they didn't use their full legal name. That's what the damage is for, whatever the per occurrence amount is. And until they fix it, well, you just keep giving them claims until you put them out of business. All right, take their money. They will leave you alone. I thought we had them arrested, but it isn't quite that easy. So instead, we'll just have to take their money. This is Jacqueline V. Veazey right here. Now, this is the person that they put the deed in. They didn't put the deed in. Where were you at there? Is this? Yeah, right. They didn't use this name here, this long ass thing, right? Up until the semicolon. They said Jacqueline V. Veazey is the one that got the property, and that this is her legal description. So even this is wrong. My point is, your name is supposed to be on here, your full legal name, the name that's on the buy-sell agreement, which should be your full legal name. If it's legal, it has to be your full legal name. And what we'll find in doing anything in real estate, they never use your full legal name. They're never going to transfer the title to you. They're not going to, you won't get legal title, or you won't get equitable title. They won't put the title insurance in your name, right? Everything is done using these legal fictions. Intentional torts. They should have your name on them. Well, I don't care what their reason was. No, I wanted it in my name. That's an intentional tort. Now, I just happened to notice this today. I was looking at, things to show. And this said on here, so this is supposed to be Jackie going to get utilities, and they decide to go and file a lien. Right? Before me, the undersigned notary public personally appeared, Robin Hayes, who was duly sworn, and says that she is the agent of the lien, or herein the city of Mount Dora, agent of the lien, or herein the city of Mount Dora, Florida, a municipal corporation whose address is something or other, in this in accordance with the application for service, right, for Jackie, who listed the address as something other, lien, or furnish utility services on the premises located at, they do the same both ways. It looks like they did. Right? Well, she went down to get services, but they gave her a lien instead. That's my point. They put a lien on. They said that's what Jackie wanted. She wanted a lien. Right? She didn't want services. She wanted a lien. And then they use this address here. This legal description, which, it doesn't match the legal description that's on her warranty deed. So they put a lien on something that, maybe this is really the proper legal description for her property. I don't know. But what I know is it doesn't match what she said she bought. So no, she didn't want to do anything with this property. Right? This isn't the property she would have come down and do anything with. It was the property that she thought she bought. And so they do these errors on purpose. And, that's just a few examples I wanted to show, just to whet your appetite. They're public adjusters. I might have one more thing to show you, so hang on just 1 minute, please. Okay, well, I wanted to show something to those of us that aren't public adjusters, how you find them. So what I did is Google Michigan Public Adjuster License lookup, and DFIS, which is Department of Insurance and Financial Services, right? Had a bunch of different hits here. Hit. What are these things? And so on this page here, it talked about applicants for adjuster license must possess a reasonable understanding of the provision, terms, and conditions of an insurance for which the applicant will adjust, a reasonable understanding of the insurance laws, and the things you'd have to do to get a license. So that would be simple enough. Hang on here. But then what I want to do is find one. So do a insurance and financial services search and go down to agencies or individual licensees. That might be better. License type. You have all these different types of licenses, and right now They're called public adjusters, but on here they say resident adjuster for the insured, which is the same thing. So non-resident insurance adjuster. They got one for residence adjuster for the insured. Yeah, for the insured. They got non-resident. I didn't check these yet to see if there's any. But if I did a resident one and put it in there and go down here, put in like Grand Rapids. As it turns out, there's not a lot of these guys. So, you know, right in, you know, Grand Rapids, which is the second biggest city in Michigan, there's only 4 of them. So there's plenty of room for those who would like to be one, is what I'm saying. Then there was how to become one. Let me go back and look at that real quick. Hang on a second. Okay, so just real quick, it said here that there are 2 types of adjusters available in Michigan. Adjuster for the insured, that'd be the public adjuster. An individual allowed by license to contract with and represent the insured who have suffered loss covered or by insurance for fire and other hazards. Adjusters for the insured may not adjust workers' compensation losses. And then insurance adjusters, independent, well, they work for the insurance company, right? Represent the insurance company. So we can't use those. We can't use an independent adjuster. They're working for the insurance company. We have to use the public adjuster. How to become licensed as an insurance adjuster. Let's take a look. Well, just do whatever it says here. Visit our examination information. Okay. They don't just seem to get right down to it. But what it comes down to is you have to go to this other site to take a test. So I'll do more on that later. I'm just showing that if you want to know, you don't need to wait on me. Just go look online. You can figure out how to become one yourself. If you become one, well, you know, contact me. We'll find some work. Put you to work. Okay, maybe just one more thing and I'll be done. Hang on. This is, you know, I don't know how important it is, but I think it's important to know that they actually have a particular contract that a public adjuster signs with their clients in Michigan. And, scope of the contract, tort, right? Because I don't know if any of these other ones cover it, but personal property, living expenses, structures, buildings, loss of use, right? Loss of use, that would be another one. Anything that's a loss, right, is covered. That's what the damages are for the loss. Insured agrees to pay and assigns to the adjuster blank amount not to exceed 10% of the amounts paid in a settlement of a loss by insurers, right, of a loss. So, loss of use. If they take your liberty, put handcuffs on you, you just lost your liberty, right? Loss of use of my liberty. So 10% is what they can charge in Michigan. And, both parties are going to sign it. So, it's a contract. What this does is it gives, I actually said it here, that insureds instruct insurers to recognize adjuster as party in interest to the support and to supply adjuster with all relevant information regarding claims procedure, policy requirements, insurer's method of valuation, a compliance, complete copy of insurance policy, and all the stuff that, that it would be good to know what it is to ask for. Apparently these people know what it is. And, right? And so they're not representing you in this case. They're representing themselves as a third party claimant because they're going to get paid a percentage. And so, I don't know what else to say other than I'm going to go find out, right? So I've already started to contact a few, and hopefully somebody contacts me tomorrow and we're rocking and rolling on something, and we'll be talking about that. But I don't know what else I could tell you that you need to know about, getting a hold of one of these if you believe you have a claim, like a foreclosure or whatever it is, trespass or whatever it is, whatever it is, whatever it is. You can watch my last video to see the things I complained about, and that you would find that by going to Rob Ryder on YouTube, but with 3 B's, ROBBBRYDER on YouTube, and then search by latest upload date. The 2 I did prior to this had to do with the idea of this insurance, and I'm just building more on it right now. But my plan is go find me one of these public adjusters. I'm gonna put them to work. And brother, you will be doing the will of the Lord, brother or sister. I'm telling you, right? You're going to be taking, the tribute that they pay the devil, this money that they made a god, and you're going to defile it, right? It's going to drive them crazy. It'll be great gnashing of teeth. So, that's what needs to be done. That's what's going to make them stop, is by attacking the thing they love most, which apparently is money. Okay, y'all have a great weekend, and if you can donate, please do, because I haven't got anything from doing this yet, but it's the path I'm headed on. All right, see ya.